In the next 30 minutes here on Newsnight, IGP declares we will definitely get them as he invokes full might of the police force to hand down armed robbers who shot and killed 2 people, including a police officer yesterday.
Commissioner CID to take over the case. It was an important attack. So he has started, and I'm sure, as I indicated, we will definitely get them.
We'll tell you what the IGP has been saying about Ghana's crime situation.
There's no society in the world where there's no crime. Even in the US, in the UK, Sweden, and all those countries where I would say they more or less have everything, they still have crime. The only place that doesn't have crime is heaven, and we are not in heaven.
We'll also hear from the family of the slain police officer.
I want justice for my brother. Justice is what is needed. Justice. Because dying on the line of duty, it's not easy.
Also tonight, we take you back to the scene of the armed robbery where residents have blocked entry and exit points into the community.
In a long sleeves and jackets.
He was in a long sleeves and in jackets. Earlier you were telling me that it looked like a bulletproof vest.
Yeah. I can see something like that. But the moment when the thing happened, you can't open your eye and watch everything.
More as an eyewitness who was very close to the incident narrates how the young deceased policeman was killed.
And also in business, IGP presses on with directive for banks to use fortified armed vehicles and cutting currencies by the end of this month.
We have all that for you, and after 6:30, we'll bring you that crucial game between France and Germany here live on your channel with exclusive rights to the European tournament. Send me your WhatsApp 055-1111-997. My name is Evans Mensah. We will definitely get them. A bold declaration by the IGP upon Bueno as he led a high-powered delegation from the police headquarters to visit the family of the police officer shot and killed yesterday. In another daylight armed robbery. The IGP is invoking the full might of the Ghana Police Service in a hunt for the armed gunmen who attacked the bullion van. The robbers shot and killed 2 people, including a policeman. A 3rd victim is currently battling for his life at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. But tonight, the Inspector General of Police is assuring of the absolute commitment of the service in bringing the perpetrators to book. We'll hear from him shortly. But first, my colleague Manuel Kranteng was at the family house in Kaswa and our reports.
In the past couple of hours that we've been here at the family house of Emmanuel Osei, the slain police officer from Monday afternoon's armed robbery attack. Indeed, the entire hierarchy of the police service has been here assuring the family of its utmost commitment to bringing the perpetrators of that heinous crime to book. It's been a bit more than just receiving the assurances of the Ghana Police Service. In fact, we've had family members, who have been wailing this entire period. I'm sharing some of their really fondest memories of the gentleman whose death they are mourning this afternoon.
I want justice for my brother. Justice is what is needed. Justice, because dying on the line of duty, it's not easy. He was serving the nation and he passed on. So all what's supposed to be given to him must be given, and all that is supposed to be done for him must be done. That's what we are pleading now. Leaving my mother behind, leaving my old boy behind. It's very painful. My dad is a pensioner. My mommy, she's a trader. And he's the one taking care of my mother. So he left without even saying goodbye. What he said was, "May come back Sunday. Sunday, me aduma meba." And we're like, okay.
And this was just last Saturday?
Yes, last Friday. So he called me again. That was on Saturday when the earthquake happened. And he told me, "Ruth, Miniska, my name is 100 Ghana, and I'm from Tommy Home. I got what curtains be. I be saying, my new house, for no." I was all like, "Hey, and they're what chile?" And he said, yes, because he wanted to move into his new apartment.
Well, the IGP has been to visit the family of the deceased police officer and has made a commitment that he and his men will get the killers.
Intensifying your patrols and making sure that it doesn't occur again. you start your investigative processes, which we have already put in motion. If you recall, yesterday we issued a statement, and before that, I had instructed the Commissioner CID to take over the case because of the importance we attach to it. So he has started, and I'm sure, as I indicated, we will definitely get them. We will get them.
Well, he also announced a raft of new measures being introduced right now to prevent a recurrence.
And let me assure you that we are not just sitting down. We have had a series of meetings with the banks and the companies that deal with cash. We call them cash in transit vehicle companies. And just before I came here, I had a meeting with the governor of the Bank of Ghana, as well as the members of the executive members of the Association of Bankers of Ghana. And these are issues that we discussed. And from now on, let's say from 30th of this month, any bank or any company that does not have a bulletproof, a bullion van, we are not going to provide any service for that company. So in actual fact, we are actually doing what we can to protect the people of Ghana. There's no society in the world where there's no crime. Even in the US, in the UK, Sweden, and all those countries where I would say they more or less have everything, they still have crime. The only place that doesn't have crime is heaven, and we are not in heaven. You see, normally in a security system, if you have a strategy and the strategy is breached, you go back, regroup, and try to, after making your assessment, you try to mend those breaches. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Like I said, we're going to find out why the officer was put on the vehicle when he didn't have the protective clothing and that. But those are part of the investigations. So I wouldn't want to go deeply into that. But I can assure you that we are doing what we can, and whatever it takes to make sure that these guys are brought to book, we'll do that. Thank you very much.
We've seen a number of these attacks on bullion vans, these type of robberies, especially daylight robberies. Do we suspect a syndicate behind this, or could they just be spontaneous?
Well, I can't tell for now until we are able to finish with the investigation, and then we'll come out with the findings. Because now I might, if I want to comment on that, I might end up saying something which the Commissioner CID might not want to go out. So for now, let's say that the investigations are being carried out, and we'll let the results come out as soon as we finish.
Well, we're getting more details from this meeting the IGP held today with the governor of the Bank of Ghana and other top officials of the Association of Bankers. My colleague Kweku Asante joins me with details from a statement issued today by the police service. We know the IGP has just said there that if by the deadline giving, which is the end of June, the banks do not provide armored bulletproof bullion vans, then they will not provide their men to guard and provide security. Do we know if the Bank of Ghana and the banks have agreed to this deadline?
Right, according to DSP Shilak Abiye Bakman, who is the police PRO, the banks themselves agree that there is the need for them to collaborate with the police to get state-of-the-art bullion vans. We know that some of the bullion vans that we've seen have been described as not fit for purpose. According to Shilak Abiye Bakman, the banks are in full agreement that by the end of this month, they need to procure new ones to be able to fortify the system.
In furtherance of yesterday's release, there was a meeting today between the police administration, the Bankers Association, together with the Bank of Ghana, and certain matters were discussed. This is an agreement we are hoping, and we know and believe and trust that it will come to fruition. So even if you thought of that statement as a rhetoric, the meeting today gives credence to the fact that the banks pledged to commit to what the agreement is. Now, no amount of money, as the Inspector General of Police put it today, no amount of money is worth the life of a human being, be it a police officer or a civilian. So if vehicles that cash or that carts cash or carry transports money will be attacked and the monies will be taken because they are not fortified, and they will be attacked and the monies will be taken when there is a police officer in it, then would you want to put a police officer in it so that the police officer will be killed and the money will be taken? That's a question to you.
But Kweku, between now and the end of June, when this deadline kicks in, the bullion vans will still need to transport cash. Is there a sense of what the police plan to do?
Right. According to the police, they are working together with the banks to ensure that they use routes that will not let this happen. They are also trying to ensure that the lives of the policemen and other civilians are protected.
So this agreement or arrangement was not done today. Like I gave you, or I said earlier on, there have been prior arrangements. You're asking if there is a deadline for providing the gear. It is not the responsibility of the bank to provide the protective gear. It is the responsibility of the police service, which we continue to do. So the police service will not give a deadline to bankers to do that. And so we in-house are working on it, and messages have been sent to the appropriate quarters to ensure that these are done. And so I will not give a deadline for that. Now about the deadline, between now and October, measures have been, between now and the end of June, where we expect that there will be full compliance by the commercial vehicles, lest police officers are withdrawn. There are measures that have been taken to ensure that cash in transit is protected. Some of these measures are not good to be put out in the public space because criminals are also listening the same way law-abiding citizens are listening. So we should be assured that there are some other measures that have been taken to ensure that this does not happen again between now and the end of June and beyond the end of June. And it is not just about the safety of banking transactions, but the safety of Ghanaians in general, and in particular, the safety of the police officer in ensuring that our constitutionally mandated duty of ensuring your safety is also assured.
Well, Sheila Bakman-Abeye speaks for the police command. I want to take you back to the crime scene where residents there have blocked entry and exit points into the community. A day after that incident that led to the shooting of the police officer and one other, the once busy community had many shops closed with many indoors, as residents say they are living in fear. Maxwell Agbagba was at the crime scene and interacted with residents and a man who was very close to where the police officer was shot and killed.
The usual beehive of activity that you'll find here in this community, very close to the timber market, is not existent here today. A cloud of grief still hangs on this community. Not just a cloud of grief, but also a cloud of fear hangs on this community, as many of the residents here are unable to go about their normal duties. Now, if you come to the community, some of the exit points that vehicles use to get in here, entry and exit points have been blocked. So it's very difficult for vehicles that usually use this place as a thoroughfare to get to the timber market and other places to use it today. If you come here, there's this red cloth that is hanging here very close to this electric pole here. And this is the convenience store where 40-year-old mother of three used to do her business. So on a normal day when you come, you find her ice chest, you find her other wares displayed here. And for cars and people who use this place as a thoroughfare, this is where they usually would get sachet water. This is where they'll usually get drinks when they're working, because this is also a business enclave. Makeshift structure here actually served as a place where many of the community members come to de-stress. So if they want to talk about football, this is where they come. Tell me, you were in this room.
Yes.
The shooting happened just here, right in front of you.
Yes.
What did you see?
I just lying down. The moment when I hear a gun shot him, pow, pow, pow. Where I wake up my head. The moment when I saw his gentleman wear a cap.
He was wearing a cap.
A cap and a long sleeves and jacket.
He was in a long sleeves and a jacket.
Yes.
Earlier you were telling me that it looked like a bulletproof vest.
Yeah. I can see something like that. But the moment when the thing happened, you can't open your eye and watch everything very, very, very listen. So you have to hide yourself. So the moment when I see shooting two bullets, open the police side, shot again. They took the gun and passed the bullet van back. Since that time, I also lied down, so I didn't come up again to see what's going on. Yeah.
But by natural instinct, you nearly screamed. Now, what happened? Your other friend who was with you, what happened to him?
What's he telling me now? Quiet, don't talk. So I have to calm down again. I didn't talk again. So after that, I didn't see anything going on again. What I see, they ran away before I take my phone and call the police.
Well, that's the scene of the crime, where, of course, the police officer was shot and killed, and a 40-year-old mother of three was also killed. Well, there was one survivor who was also shot, but is currently at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital battling for dear life. Well, we've been getting more from doctors who gave him that urgent medical care. They've been telling us about how they managed to stabilize this 35-year-old for an operation late Monday evening. Several pellets were retrieved from his chest, his limbs, forearms, and other parts. Listen to Dr. Frederick Kwate give these details to my colleague Manuel Krante.
Our assessment showed that the bullets had penetrated the chest wall and damaged vessels and was bleeding heavily into the chest. He also had bullets in the thoracic spine, and then also the gunshot injury damaged the right hand. There were pellets in the whole of the right upper limb, in the arm and in the forearm. As soon as he was brought, though he was fully conscious, he was drowsy and was in shock with very low blood pressures. In fact, his blood pressure was about 80 systolic and 50 diastolic. So it means he was in a severe shock, and we started resuscitation. We tried to stabilize him. Now, in the process of the resuscitation, we noticed that even though we were giving him much fluids and blood transfusion, his blood pressure kept dropping. And so we did further evaluation and realized he was bleeding actively in the chest and had accumulated a lot of blood in the chest, which will have been detrimental to his survival. So as an emergency procedure, we put a chest tube into the chest to drain the blood. But we realized that whilst we were draining the blood, he was still bleeding profusely in the chest. So yesterday in the night, around 9 p.m., he was rushed to theater by the cardiothoracic surgeons, where he had thoracotomy done. In other words, surgery that opens into the chest to stop all the bleeding points and to be stabilized. So as we speak, he had surgery yesterday and he is fairly stable, but is still on the recovery wards.
And we pray he makes a full recovery. And let's stay with crime, because Ashanti Regional Police Command says it will not rule out contract killing in the shooting of the wife of the driver of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation's boss. Now, Benedicta Pokwa-Sapon was shot at close range in her Range Rover vehicle at a spot near airport runabout Sunday dawn. She was later pronounced dead at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. Police have since mounted a search for the four suspects as they await the release of a CCTV footage from the National Security to aid investigations. I want to bring in my colleague Ohiming Teria with our sister station Lab FM in Kumasi. He's been following this for us. Ohiming, we understand that the police have in their custody, or what they are speaking to two witnesses, including the husband of the deceased, who have been helping with investigations.
Yes, Evans, police also expect to speak to one more witness who was among three vehicles in the convoy led by the late Benedicta Pokwa-Sapon. ASP Gordon Ahianyo tells me the police will do everything possible to unravel the circumstances behind what is believed to be a contract killing.
I must say, yes, the Regional Police Command has recorded a case of alleged murder of a lady who happened to be the wife of Nana Ajaman Prempe. The husband reported to the police last 2 days that he was returning with the wife from town. He was driving in his car while the wife was also driving hers. And some young guys, numbering about 4, in a private vehicle, that is a saloon car, crossed them. And when he also stopped to question them, one of them shot at the wife. So the police have initiated investigation into that alleged murder case. We invited the complainant, who is now the bereaved husband of the late lady. He's giving us some leads. He was in the company of other persons. The command has also invited those persons to also come and then give statement.
Ohemeng, we also know that Kumasi has been a hotbed of crime in the last few weeks. There have been several bullion van attacks, several raids and armed robbery incidents. The police, they've been responding to this.
Yes, the police did respond. ASP Gordon Ahianyo says, yes, though the region has recorded some violent crimes in recent times, but that does not amount to an increase in crime rate in the region. And he says in the last 2 quarters, the region has seen decline in crime in the region.
We are not losing it at all. Let me just tell you here and now that when we talk about the crime situation in the region, comparing these cases you're talking about and that of last year and then the past years, I would say relatively crime is low. Per our statistics, the first and second quarter of this year, we have not had cases on the ascendancy. They are rather very low. But we have recorded 1 or 2 violent cases. For which reason you are trying to, create impression? Well, perhaps we had also had some conversation with the general public, and this is what they are telling you. But as a spokesperson for this noble institution, I can stand and then tap my chest to say that crime in the region is very low. Let me just tell you that these 2 cases or 3 cases that you mentioned, as we speak, arrests have been made. Some persons have been arrested. In both cases, we had video footages via the CCTV cameras. We've been able to identify some persons, but because we have not come out to tell the general public that this is what we have done, people think these cases are unresolved.
And that is the Public Relations Officer of the Ashanti Regional Police Command, ASP Godwin Ahianyo. And John, this is learning the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament is consulting with United States Marshals to boost the intelligence capacity of our security services. Vice Chairperson of the Committee, Evans Mensah Hayford, disclosed this on Morning Prime when he spoke to my colleague, Daniel Datsy.
My committee will take it up. In fact, we've taken keen notice of this, all the happenings around. And as I rightly told you, we've met earlier on and discussed a lot. We've met with some marshals as to how to get the state apparatus trained in intelligence gathering and then fighting crime as well.
Was this after the first robbery?
Yes, the first 2. I think that was last week, Tuesday. We met exactly a week today. We met and we had a lot of deliberations. So we are coming up with some recommendations. And then soon it will be out there as to the protocols that will be set in place for these. I'm told the IGP met with these operators, bank operators, and then came out with a directive that they should get their bulletproof bullion vans to operate with. We don't know what happened. We didn't hear anything. And then this unfortunate incident happened again. Assuming they had adhered to whatever was put up there or agreed on, and then purchased such vans, would have saved a life. Because I'm told a normal glass is just 2 millimeters, but a bulletproof glass is 90 millimeter. So you can imagine it will take a force not just a bullet to get someone killed, but because it's a normal pickup as the one that my husband was using before he was killed, just a stray bullet, and then we lost a life. So the committee will meet and then we'll come up with these recommendations and then protocols as to the way this cash-taking institutions will operate.
Well, in 2019, the government, specifically the Vice President, Dr. Mubaumia, in the wake of the killing of 2 police officers, had indeed promised that police officers will from then be provided with bulletproof vests and protective helmets as well. It's been 2 years almost since. We know that many police officers are still on guard duty without those protective gadgets. Let's do business now. George joins me with details. Hello, George.
Hi, Evans. And coming up in business, the IGP is pressing ahead with directives for banks to use fortified armed vehicles and carton currencies by the end of this month. But it appears that banks are highlighting some difficulties in fully complying with this directive. We'll also be hearing from some industry players on how feasible is this directive by the end of this month. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials, and Allianz Life. Let's now settle for the details. Now, banks and financial institutions in the country may have to work hard to ensure that they have fortified armed vehicles and carton of currencies by the end of this month. Now, this was one of the outcomes in the emergency meeting called by the IGP and governors of the Bank of Ghana and CEOs and managing directors of commercial banks. You have details in this report.
Well, I think they're not asking for too many things. And I tend to agree with Bank of Ghana and also the IGP.
Getting your details on that. Meanwhile, former managing director of Amalgamated Bank, Mensah Tokonu, is asking the Bank of Ghana and the IGP to review their June ending deadline of having these fortified armed vehicles for carton of currencies.
For me, I would say that end of this month is too early. If they give them about 3 months to order these armored vehicles, they are not around the shops that you're going to be buying. You have to order them. So I think Bank of Ghana should be a little bit lenient with the banks so that they can satisfy everybody.
And when you have the IGP also on your neck saying that you have till the end of the month, it gives them really no choice, does it?
Yeah, that's very true. But I can imagine the banks in a very difficult position. I think they need to dialogue with the IGP. Even if you want to establish letters of credit, for the billion funds to come, I don't think it will be within 90 days.
And that's Mensah Tokonu. He's a former managing director of Amalgamated Bank, sharing his thoughts on the IGP's directive. Now, Minister of Tourism and Creative Arts designate Marco Krekumante is talking about some new initiatives aimed at boosting local tourism. Now, answering questions from some members of the appointment committee, so Kreku argued that Ghanaians can now adopt their hometowns and also some regions to visit during this weekend.
Go back to your old school. From Friday to Sunday, it will boom fuel, it will boom data, it will boom hotel, drinks for the whole weekend. And so I pray God gives us the strength, and then we will influence whatever we can. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
And that's the Minister of Tourism and Creative Arts designate, Mark Okrekumante, talking about weekend adoption and trying to promote local tourism. And that's all for business on Newsnight.
George, thank you very much. And of course, we are looking forward to the game. This arguably is the biggest game so far in the Euros. This is France versus Germany. You are an Arsenal fan?
I'm an Arsenal fan, but
there's
a French connection for those who know me, and so obviously I'll fall to that French connection being France. So obviously it has to be France, and no other country that I would want to support or have to support events. So it has to be Alele Blue tonight.
Oh, so you're supporting France?
Yeah, of course. It has to be France. So Alele Blue, and wishing them all the best tonight in the game as they win it.
Okay. Thank you very much, George, and we're going to look forward to this. Stay with us because we bring you commentary. And by the way, tomorrow we're beginning a Clean Ghana campaign. We're bringing it back, and we'll be joining the Accra Metropolitan Assembly as we hit the street. We'll be coming to a place close to you. Just make sure your place is neat and tidy. My name is Evans Mensah. Enjoy the rest of your evening and enjoy the game.
They say there's always room at the top. What do you have?
The new Shell fuels with Dynaflex technology are designed to